The transport ship Aurora moved silently through the cold dark of space. Inside it, a group of human soldiers sat in their armor, waiting for the orders to begin their new mission. Among them sat a young soldier named Ryan. He was not the strongest or the fastest, but he was calm, sharp, and known for always finishing his duty no matter how hard it became. The mission was simple on paper. The human fleet had made an alliance with the Virel, an alien race known for their advanced technology and royal traditions. To strengthen peace, the Virel Emperor had requested that a human guard be assigned to protect his only daughter, Princess Nira. Ryan was chosen for this task. When Ryan heard about it, he thought it would be easy. Protecting a princess sounded peaceful compared to the battles he had faced. He imagined standing at doors, watching halls, and stopping any fool who tried to harm her. He did not expect danger. He did not expect surprises. But as he would soon learn, nothing about this mission would be simple. When Aurora reached the shining world of Virela Prime, Ryan saw a planet covered with silver forests and blue lakes. The sky glowed faintly, almost alive with light. The landing bay was filled with guards wearing crystal armor. They bowed as Princess Nira arrived. She was nothing like what Ryan imagined. Instead of being fragile or quiet, she was tall, with skin that shimmered like soft metal and eyes that glowed faintly gold. Her voice carried strength when she spoke. "Human soldier," she said, looking straight at him, "you will guard me, yes?" Ryan saluted and nodded. "Yes, Your Highness. I am assigned to your protection." Nira studied him with curiosity. "Your kind has strange customs. You show respect with your hand, but your eyes look without fear." "I like that," Ryan did not reply. He had been trained not to speak too much unless needed. His orders were clear: protect the princess at all costs. During the first few days, the task seemed simple. Ryan followed Nira everywhere. He stood by her during council meetings, stayed alert during her travels, and even guarded her chamber doors at night. He noticed how everyone treated her like she was made of glass. But Nira was not fragile. She trained daily with a sword that hummed with energy, and she often practiced without guards nearby. One morning, Ryan saw her facing 4 training droids alone. The droids attacked quickly, but she moved faster. Each strike was clean, each move controlled. When the last droid fell, Ryan clapped softly. "You fight well," he said. She turned, smiling. "Do you, human soldier?" "I fight when I must," he replied. "Then you must fight now," she said, and pointed her sword toward him. Before he could protest, she attacked. Ryan stepped aside, blocking with his arm guard. The sword sparked against his armor. He countered with careful moves, trying not to hurt her. Nira's laughter filled the air as they traded strikes. After a few minutes, she lowered her sword. "You are strong but careful. Humans fight to end, but you fight to protect." "I respect that," Ryan nodded. "My job is not to win fights. It is to keep you safe." From that day, Nira began to speak with him more often. She asked about Earth, about human food, about why humans built ships that could cross stars. Ryan answered simply. He told her about oceans, forests, and cities full of lights. She listened like a child hearing stories for the first time. One evening, while walking through the royal gardens, Ryan noticed the sound of strange wings. The plants trembled slightly. His instincts sharpened. In seconds, 3 small machines burst from the shadows, each shaped like a metallic insect. They moved fast, aiming straight for Nira. Ryan drew his sidearm and fired 3 clean shots. The first machine exploded mid-air. The second crashed to the ground, and the third tried to escape but was crushed under his boot. The royal guards came running, but Ryan had already shielded Nira. She looked up at him, surprised. "You saw them before anyone," she said quietly. "It is my job," Ryan replied. "You should stay close to the walls from now on. Someone is watching." Nira frowned. "You think my people would attack me?" "Maybe not your people," Ryan said. "But maybe someone who wants to end the peace between us." The Emperor was informed, and extra guards were placed around the palace. But even with more security, Ryan could feel eyes on them. He did not trust anyone else. He began sleeping near the princess's chamber, armor on, weapon ready. Days passed, and the tension in the palace grew. Nira's council argued about who could be behind the attack. Some blamed the humans, saying their presence brought danger. Others believed it was a rival alien faction. Ryan stayed silent, always watching. One night, while everyone slept, Ryan heard a faint click near the princess's room. He moved quickly, pushing open the door. A shadow slipped through the window, holding a small blade that glowed faint green. Without hesitation, Ryan tackled the intruder. The weapon flew across the floor and a masked figure struggled under his grip. Guards rushed in, but Ryan had already pinned the attacker. When the mask was removed, the room fell silent. It was one of Nira's personal attendants. Nira stepped closer, her face hard. "Why?" she asked softly. The attendant said nothing. Instead, he bit down on a small capsule and collapsed instantly. The guards froze. Ryan checked the body, then looked up. Someone trained him. This was not random. The Emperor arrived moments later, anger burning in his eyes. "Find who sent him," he ordered. Ryan turned to Nira. "Until we do, you are not safe anywhere alone." Nira nodded. "Then you will stay close. Very close." From that night, Ryan was no longer just a guard at a distance. He became her shadow. Wherever she went, he followed. Whatever she faced, he stood ready. But the bond between them began to grow in unexpected ways. Nira started trusting him more than her own people. She would ask for his advice during meetings and walk beside him instead of ahead. To her, he was not only a protector but a symbol of what humans could be: brave, loyal, and honest. Ryan began to feel the weight of that trust. He knew something dangerous was moving beneath the surface of peace. Protecting her would not be simple anymore. And though he did not know it yet, the greatest challenge was still to come. One that would test not his strength but his understanding of an alien culture that saw closeness and trust in very different ways. The mission that once seemed simple was only beginning. The palace of Varela Prime looked peaceful from the outside, but inside the air carried tension. After the attack on Princess Nira, everyone moved carefully. Guards stood at every door and lights glowed brighter in every hall. The Emperor trusted no one completely. Ryan stayed close to the princess as ordered. He followed her during public meetings and private studies. He ate near her table but never sat with her unless she asked. He respected her customs, though he did not always understand them. Nira noticed this quiet loyalty. She would sometimes glance at him when no one else was looking. "You do not speak much," she said one morning as they walked through the silver garden. "I speak when I must," Ryan replied. "Then you must speak now," she said. "Tell me what humans do when they fear." Ryan looked at her. "We prepare," he said. "We find the danger before it finds us." She smiled softly. "Then you and I are alike." That day she led him to the council hall. 12 Varel elders sat in a half-circle, their robes glowing faintly. They were discussing the alliance with humans, but the voices were not friendly. One elder rose. "Humans bring chaos. Since the soldier came, our enemies have become bold." Another added, "Maybe the attack was meant for him, not her." The words hung heavy in the air. Ryan stayed silent, his eyes scanning the room. He saw faces that hid fear behind calm expressions. Nira stood. "Enough," she said firmly. "Ryan saved my life. Without him, I would be dead. You speak against the one who stopped the assassin." The room fell quiet. The elders looked away. After the meeting, Ryan spoke carefully. "You should not defend me like that in front of them." "Why not?" she asked. "Because now they will think I have power over you," he said. "That will make more enemies." Nira tilted her head slightly. "Then let them think so. If fear keeps them silent, I will use it." Ryan sighed. He admired her courage, but he knew her pride could be dangerous. Later that night, Ryan sat in the guard post near her chamber. The walls shimmered with light from the planet's twin moons. His armor rested beside him as he checked his weapon's energy cells. Suddenly, his communicator blinked. "Human soldier," came a voice from the control center. "There has been movement near the west gate." Drones were sent to check, but signals went dark. Ryan stood at once. "Alert all squads. I'm moving with the princess to a secure area." He entered her room quickly. Nira was awake, reading from a glass tablet. "Another attack?" she asked calmly. "Maybe. We're moving to the lower chamber," he said. She nodded without hesitation. Together they moved through hidden halls that only royal guards knew. Ryan kept his weapon ready. The air felt heavier the deeper they went. As they reached the security vault, a sudden tremor shook the floor. The walls flickered. Alarms echoed through the corridors. Ryan pulled Nira close behind a pillar. "Stay behind me," he said. 4 armored intruders appeared from the shadows. Their suits were dark and unmarked. Ryan aimed and fired. The first fell instantly. The others returned fire with plasma bolts that burned across the air. Nira crouched beside him. "They are not Varel," she said. "Their energy weapons are foreign." "Then they are not your people," Ryan said, firing again. He moved with precision, covering angles and forcing the attackers back. One charged forward, swinging a blade of light. Ryan blocked with his forearm shield and struck back, knocking the intruder down. When the last one fell, silence filled the hall. Nira stood slowly, her eyes bright. "You fight like thunder," she said. Ryan scanned the area. "We need to check who sent them. These are professionals." When the palace guards arrived, they carried away the attackers' bodies for study. The Emperor came soon after, anger burning in his voice. "This is the second attempt," he said. "My daughter is not safe even in her home." Ryan stepped forward. "Whoever is behind this knows your security system. They move like insiders." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Then we must find the traitor." The following days turned into careful investigation. Ryan worked with the royal command to check every guard, every servant, and every communication signal. He found strange patterns in the palace network, hidden messages sent through routine data. Someone was using the palace's own systems to guide the attackers. He brought the findings to Nira. "These messages use your father's encryption," he said. "Only someone close to the Emperor could access it." Nira frowned. "You think someone near him is working against us?" "Yes," Ryan said. "And they will try again. You should not appear in public until we find them." But Nira shook her head. "If I hide, they win. The people will think the royal line is weak." Her courage impressed Ryan, but it also worried him. "Bravery is not always strength," he said. "Sometimes survival is." She smiled faintly. "You speak like an old warrior." He answered softly, "I have seen too many lose because they wanted to look brave." That night, Ryan checked every corner of the princess's chamber before she entered. As he turned to leave, she stopped him. "Ryan," she said, "you never rest." "Do humans never sleep?" He gave a small smile. "Only when it's safe to." "Then sit," she said kindly. "At least drink something warm." Ryan hesitated but accepted the offer. They sat near the window where the stars shone like silver dust. For a moment, the tension in the air faded. Nira looked at him thoughtfully. "You do not belong here, yet you protect this world as if it were your own." "Why?" "Because peace matters," Ryan said simply. "If humans and Varel fall apart, both sides will suffer. My duty is to prevent that." Her gaze softened. "You remind me that duty can be noble. Many here have forgotten that." Just as the quiet settled, Ryan's communicator flashed again. He checked it and frowned. "The West Wing sensors are offline. That's the same side as the last attack." He stood quickly. "Stay here. Lock the room. Do not open it for anyone but me." Before she could speak, he was gone. Ryan moved fast through the empty corridors, his weapon drawn. The air felt still, too still. When he reached the West Wing, the lights flickered once and went dark. A sound came from the ceiling, metal shifting. He raised his arm just as a shadow dropped down. A masked figure attacked with sharp precision. Ryan blocked the first strike, countered the second, and forced the enemy back. The attacker was skilled, moving like a ghost. Ryan finally caught the opponent's wrist and threw them down. The mask cracked open, revealing a human face. Ryan froze for a heartbeat. It was not one of the Varel. It was a human operative. The intruder grinned faintly. "You are not supposed to be here, Ryan. You're protecting the wrong side." Before Ryan could question him, the intruder activated a small device, and a bright flash filled the hall. When the light cleared, the man was gone. Ryan stood alone, his mind racing. A human group had infiltrated the Varel palace. That meant the threat was deeper than he imagined. He returned to the princess's chamber immediately. She was safe, but she saw the worry in his face. "What happened?" she asked. Ryan answered quietly, "The enemy is not only yours now. They are mine too." The truth changed everything. What started as a simple protection mission had become a web of betrayal between two worlds. Ryan knew that the next move would decide not just the life of a princess, but the peace between two civilizations. The next morning began with silence. The palace guards walked nervously through the halls, and no one spoke unless necessary. The news about a human infiltrator had spread quietly among the higher ranks. The Emperor ordered that all human communication devices be locked down until further notice. Only Ryan's was allowed to stay active, and even that was under strict watch. Ryan stood near the balcony of Princess Nira's chamber. He looked over the shining city below, where silver towers reflected the soft glow of Virella's twin suns. His armor felt heavier than usual. The thought that one of his own people had tried to harm the princess disturbed him deeply. Nira entered the room dressed in her royal uniform, ready for another council meeting. "You have not spoken since sunrise," she said gently. "I have nothing good to say," Ryan replied. "You are angry because the attacker was human," she said. He nodded slowly. "Yes, we came here to protect peace, not destroy it. Someone from my world has betrayed that mission." Nira walked closer and looked at him. "Then you will find who it is. You are not like them." Her confidence gave him a small strength, but his mind still burned with questions. Who had sent that man?
Why was a human involved in alien politics?
At the council meeting, the Emperor spoke to his advisors. "We have proof that an outsider from Earth was part of the attack. Until we find the reason, our alliance must be reviewed." The elders murmured among themselves. Some looked at Rian with distrust. One of them said sharply, "Perhaps the soldier knows more than he tells." Ryan stood straight. "I serve your Emperor and his daughter. If I knew anything, I would already have spoken." The Emperor raised his hand. "Enough, I trust this man with my daughter's life. He has proven his loyalty more than any of us." The room quieted, but Ryan knew the suspicion would not disappear so easily. Later that day, Nira led Rian to the Royal Library. It was a massive room filled with floating tablets and glowing data crystals. "We must look for clues here," she said. "Every council order and communication passes through this place." Ryan nodded and began scanning through records. The data was written in Varel symbols, but his translator made it understandable. Hours passed as they searched line after line. Finally, he found something unusual. "Here," he said, pointing at a list of trade shipments. "This route connects your planet to a human outpost near the border. It was approved directly by the Royal Treasury, but the goods never arrived." Nira looked closer. "The approval code belongs to Lord Siron," she said. "He is one of the Emperor's oldest advisors." Ryan frowned. "Then maybe he is the traitor we're looking for." They decided to keep this secret for now. That night, Rian followed Lord Siron's movements quietly. The old advisor walked through the lower halls of the palace and entered a restricted chamber guarded by drones. Ryan hid in the shadows and watched. The door opened with a code and Siron stepped inside carrying a small case. Rian waited a few minutes before sneaking closer. Using his military interface, he hacked the door lock. Inside, he found a hidden communication station filled with human-made devices. The sight made his heart sink. The old advisor was not working alone. He was communicating with someone from Earth. Rian quickly copied the data from the system. As he turned to leave, a voice came from behind. "You move quietly for a soldier." Lord Siron stood in the doorway with 2 guards. His calm smile held no warmth. "I see you have discovered my little secret." Ryan aimed his weapon. "Why are you working with human operatives?" "What do you want?" Siron chuckled softly. "Your people are not as united as you think. Some believe this alliance gives the Varel too much power. They want balance. I simply help them achieve it." "By killing the princess?" Ryan demanded. Siron's eyes glowed faintly. "Sacrifice is sometimes needed to start change. Her death would turn both sides against each other. Then war will decide who rules the stars." Ryan fired a stun shot, but Siron was faster than expected. A flash of energy filled the room and smoke spread around. When the air cleared, Siron was gone, leaving only the guards unconscious. Ryan ran back to the royal chamber. He found Nira safe but surrounded by nervous guards. "He escaped," Ryan said. "Lord Siron is the traitor. He works with human rebels who want war." The Emperor's face turned pale with fury. "Find him at once. He cannot leave the palace." Search teams spread across the grounds, but Siron had vanished completely. Some believed he had allies within the military. Others thought he was already off the planet. That night, Ryan stood watch again near Nira's room. He could see that she was troubled. "You are quiet, princess," he said softly. She looked up. "My father trusted Siron since before I was born. He taught me our laws. Now I wonder if anything he said was true." Ryan replied, "Truth is not always in words. Sometimes it is in actions. You have led your people with courage. That is truth enough." Her eyes met his for a long moment. "You always speak simply, Rian, but your words hold strength. I wish more of my people were like you." The next morning, reports came in from orbit. One of the palace shuttles had launched without permission. It was small and fast, likely Siron's escape craft. Rian and Nira rushed to the control deck where the Emperor watched the screen.
"His ship is heading toward the human border," the Emperor said.
If he reaches them, he will claim that humans betrayed us. Ryan clenched his fist. We cannot let that happen. I can track him and bring him back. The Emperor hesitated. That is dangerous. You might not return. Rian looked at Nira. If I don't go, both our worlds may fall into war. I have to try. The princess stepped forward. Then I go with you. Her father objected at once. No, it is too dangerous. But Nira's voice was steady. If this war begins, my people must see their ruler stand with those who protect peace. Ryan and I started this mission together. We will finish it together. The Emperor looked at her with pride and worry. Finally he nodded. Then go. May the stars guide you. Within an hour, Rian and Nira boarded a small pursuit ship. The engines roared as they lifted off the platform and broke through the planet's atmosphere. The stars stretched into bright lines as they entered faster than light travel. Ryan checked the tracker. His ship is moving toward the Nebra Rift. It's a dead zone between our territories. No one controls it. Nira fastened her seat harness. Then that is where we will find the truth. Ryan smiled slightly. Let's hope we both come back to tell it. As their ship vanished into the black of space, both of them knew this was no longer just about duty. It was about trust between two worlds, and about whether humanity's promise of peace could survive betrayal from its own kind. The mission had changed again. What began as protection had turned into a chase through the stars, and both Rian and Nira were ready to face whatever waited in the shadows ahead. The small pursuit ship moved through the endless darkness of space. The stars outside looked calm, but inside the cockpit, tension filled every corner. Ryan sat at the controls, eyes fixed on the blinking tracker that showed Lord Saran's escape route. Princess Nira sat beside him, her hands resting on her lap, her expression firm but calm. Distance to the Nebra Rift? She asked. 30,000 kilometers, Ryan said. We'll reach it in less than an hour. Nira looked through the window at the swirling lights of the rift ahead. The Nebra Rift was not just empty space, it was a graveyard of ships. Broken hulls, shattered satellites, and dead stations floated in a slow, silent storm of magnetic clouds. Few ever entered, and even fewer came back. Ryan checked his readings again. Saran's ship entered the rift 20 minutes ago. His signal is weak, but still there. Nira leaned closer. He must have a base inside. No one would hide in a place like this without reason. Ryan nodded. Then that's where we end this. As they entered the rift, static filled the ship's systems. The lights flickered. Energy waves moved around them like ripples in water. Ryan held the controls steady. Stay calm. These fields can confuse the sensors, but I can guide us through. Nira watched him quietly. You trust your instincts more than your machines. Ryan smiled faintly. Machines can be fooled. Instinct keeps you alive. Minutes passed before they finally spotted movement on the radar. A cluster of signals appeared near a broken station. Ryan slowed the ship and turned off the external lights. Through the mist of the rift, they could see it, a massive wreck of an old space colony, half broken, half rebuilt with new metal. Hidden engines glowed faintly underneath. That's his base, Ryan said. We'll have to enter from the lower dock. Nira nodded. Let's end this before he can spread his lies. They landed the ship silently and stepped into the dark airlock. The air inside smelled of rust and old oil. Ryan held his weapon ready while Nira carried a compact energy blade. The corridors were dim, lit by flickering lights. They moved carefully, following the faint sounds of voices ahead. When they turned a corner, they saw several armed men, humans in dark armor carrying the mark of the Earth colonial front. Ryan felt his stomach tighten. That was a rebel group known for rejecting peace with alien species. Nira whispered, Your people. Ryan answered softly, Not my people, just humans who forgot what humanity means. They hid behind a broken wall as the rebels passed. Ryan studied their route and then motioned for Nira to follow. They moved deeper until they reached a large hall filled with computers and crates. At the center stood Lord Saran, speaking through a holographic projector to a man wearing a human general's uniform. The plan continues, Saran said. The princess's death will ignite the war. The humans will act first and the Varel will answer with fire. The Emperor will have no choice. The general's image flickered. And what of the guard? The one called Rian? Saran's face darkened. He has become a problem. But he won't escape this place alive. Ryan felt anger rise in his chest. He looked at Nira. We end it now. They moved quickly. Ryan took out the first guard silently, then the next. When the alarm finally sounded, it was too late for Saran to escape. Ryan stepped into the hall, weapon raised. "It's over, Saran," Rian said. "You'll answer for what you've done." Saran turned slowly. "You think you can stop me alone?" Nira stepped beside Ryan. "He is not alone." Saran laughed softly. "A human and an alien standing side by side. How poetic. But you are too late. The transmission has already gone to both governments. Soon they will prepare for war." Ryan fired at the console, destroying it instantly. Sparks flew across the room. "Not anymore," he said. Saran's calm face broke into anger. He activated a control on his wrist and metal doors slammed shut across the hall. Robots emerged from hidden panels, their eyes glowing red. "Destroy them," Saran ordered. Ryan and Nira moved back to back as the machines charged. Plasma fire filled the air. Ryan shot precisely, hitting each target with controlled bursts. Nira's energy blade sliced through the air, cutting down attackers that got too close. The noise echoed through the hall like thunder. As the last robot fell, Saran tried to escape through a side tunnel. Ryan saw him and gave chase. The tunnel led to an open platform above the rift. Below them, lightning arcs flashed through the magnetic clouds. "Stop, Saran!" Ryan shouted. Saran turned, holding a small device. "I can still finish this. One signal and both fleets will think the other has attacked. You can't stop what has begun." Rian aimed his weapon. "I can try." Saran pressed the device, but nothing happened. Behind him, Nira stood holding a small power core she had removed earlier from the control panel. "You taught me to think before acting," she said calmly. "Now your device has no power." Saran's expression changed from rage to disbelief. "You tricked me." "No," Nira said. "You tricked yourself." Rian moved forward, but Saran pulled a hidden blade and lunged. Ryan blocked the strike with his arm guard, and the two struggled near the edge. The wind from the rift howled around them. Ryan finally twisted Saran's arm and disarmed him. "It's over," Ryan said. Saran looked defeated, but whispered, "You think you've won? There are others like me. The hate will not end." "Maybe not," Ryan replied, "but it won't start today." Saran tried one last move, pushing Ryan toward the edge, but Ryan held his ground. In the struggle, Saran slipped and fell into the glowing mist below. The magnetic field swallowed him instantly. Nira stepped closer, her face serious. "He chose his own fall." Rian nodded. "His war ends with him." They returned to the ship quickly. As they left the rift, the ship's systems began to stabilize again. For the first time in days, Ryan could see clear stars through the glass. "We should send word to your father," he said. Nira nodded. "He must know the truth before anyone else twists it." Ryan opened the communication link and transmitted the data he had taken from Saran's files. It contained proof of Saran's betrayal, his plans with the human rebels, and the false signals he had prepared to cause war. When the message reached Varela Prime, the Emperor's voice came through the speaker. "My daughter, are you safe?" "Yes, father," Nira said. Ryan stopped Saran. "The lies will not spread." The Emperor's tone softened. "And the alliance?" "Still strong," she said, "because one human kept his word." The connection ended and silence filled the cockpit again. Nira looked at Rian. "You saved my life more than once, but this time you saved two worlds." Ryan smiled slightly. "That was the mission." As they neared home, the planet's silver glow appeared in the distance. For a brief moment, everything felt peaceful. But Ryan knew peace was not permanent. There would always be those who feared unity, who wanted power over understanding. Still, as he looked at Nira beside him, calm and strong, he believed that humanity and the Varel could stand together. The mission had started as protection. Then it became survival. Now it had become something greater, a bond that could change the future of both races. And yet, Rian did not know that one final test still waited for him. A test not of battle or strength, but of trust and understanding, when the princess herself would invite him into a moment of her world that no outsider had ever shared before. The calm before the last storm had just begun. The ship entered the atmosphere of Varela Prime with a trail of blue light behind it. The mission was over, but the weight on Ryan's shoulders did not lift. He had stopped Saran, saved the princess, and prevented war. Yet he knew there was still something unfinished. Peace had returned, but peace was always fragile. Princess Nira stood beside him in the cockpit, watching the shining silver forests appear below. Home, she said softly. It feels different now. Ryan glanced at her. Because you've seen what hides beyond it. She nodded. I saw greed and lies, but I also saw courage. You showed me that truth. As the ship landed on the royal platform, the Emperor and his guards waited. When Nira stepped out, the crowd bowed deeply. The Emperor walked forward, his eyes filled with relief. My daughter, you have done what no one else could. You protected our world and our honor. Nira smiled. I did not do it alone. She turned and gestured toward Ryan. Without him, I would not stand here today. The Emperor faced Ryan and placed a hand on his shoulder. Human soldier, the Varel owe you a debt that cannot be measured. You came as a guard, but leave as a hero. Ryan bowed slightly. I only did my duty, Your Majesty. But Nira shook her head. Duty ends when safety begins. You went beyond that. That evening, the palace held a small ceremony. The alliance banners of both species waved together. Speeches were made about peace, unity, and courage. Ryan stood quietly through it all, never seeking attention. When it ended, Nira approached him with a calm smile. You still stand like a guard even when the danger has passed, she said. Ryan smiled faintly. Old habits. She looked at him with warmth. You have been inside every hall of this palace, faced every threat, and still think of nothing for yourself. Tell me, Rian, what do humans do to rest after victory? He thought for a moment. We breathe, we sleep. We wait for the next duty. Nira laughed softly. Then you have not learned how to live. Before he could reply, she said, Tomorrow you will join me in the cleansing hall. It is a place of peace. In our tradition, it is where warriors go to wash away the memories of battle. You have earned that honor. Rian hesitated, unsure how to answer. Your Highness, that may not be proper for me. She shook her head. You misunderstand. It is not what you think. The bath is not personal. It is a ritual of trust. We enter it to show that we hold no weapons and no secrets. For the Varel, to share the cleansing water means to share respect. Ryan realized his mistake and nodded. Then I am honored. The next morning, soft light filled the grand cleansing hall. It was built from white stone that reflected gentle waves of color. Steam drifted across clear pools and the air smelled of calming herbs. Ryan entered wearing a light ceremonial robe, his armor left behind for the first time in weeks. Nira stood at the edge of the central pool, her royal robe flowing like liquid silver. You came, she said. Ryan bowed slightly. You gave an order, Princess. I follow orders, she smiled. Sometimes I think you follow something more than orders. They stepped into the water, which glowed faintly beneath their feet. Ryan felt warmth spread through him, not from the water, but from the peace of the place. Nira closed her eyes and placed her hand over her heart. This water holds the memory of our ancestors.
Every leader of Varel has stood here to let go of fear and pride.
Now I ask you to do the same. Rian took a breath and nodded. He closed his eyes and thought of all that had happened. The battles, the betrayals, the faces of those he had lost. For the first time since arriving on this world, he allowed himself to feel calm. After a while, Nira spoke. When I first met you, I thought humans were cold. You stood like stone and spoke only when needed. But I learned that under that armor there is kindness. Ryan opened his eyes. And I learned that your people are not as distant as they seem. You fight with strength and heart. She looked at him with quiet pride. Then perhaps our worlds are not so different. They stood in silence for a long moment. The water rippled gently around them. It was not a moment of romance, but of trust and understanding between two beings from different worlds. When the ritual ended, Nira stepped out and handed Rian a small crystal. This holds the record of what happened in the rift. The council will keep it safe, but I want you to have a copy. You deserve to remember what you fought for. Ryan accepted it carefully. Thank you, Princess. She smiled softly. You may call me Nira when no one is listening. Ryan hesitated. And you may call me Rian even when everyone is. Her laughter filled the hall like music. Later that day, Rian prepared to return to the human fleet. The Aurora was waiting at the edge of orbit, ready to take him home. Nira walked with him to the platform. You will leave soon, she said quietly. Yes, Ryan replied. My commander will want a full report, and I think peace will need both our people to keep working together. She nodded. Then promise me one thing. When you look at the stars, remember that one of them will always shine for you here. Rian smiled gently. I will remember. The transport doors opened and Ryan stepped inside. The engines hummed to life. Through the window he saw Nira standing tall, her silver robe glowing in the sunlight. She raised her hand in farewell and he saluted back. As the ship lifted away from the planet, Ryan looked down at the world he had protected. It was strange to think that only weeks ago he had come here as a guard with no expectations. Now he was leaving as a symbol of what humans could be, strong, loyal, and capable of peace. When the stars returned outside the window, he whispered quietly to himself, "Mission complete." Back on Varela Prime, Nira stood on the same platform, watching the trail of the departing ship fade into the horizon. Her father joined her. "He will be remembered in our history," the Emperor said. Nira nodded. "Yes, because he proved that strength does not come from power but from understanding." As the wind moved through the silver trees, she looked up at the sky. Somewhere beyond the stars, Ryan was traveling home, and though they were far apart, their shared promise remained. Across two worlds, one truth now stood strong. Peace was not just signed by leaders but earned by hearts that dared to trust. And for the first time in many years, the galaxy felt quiet, not because it was empty but because hope had found a voice again. The Protector had done his duty. The Princess had kept her honor. Together they had built something greater than victory. They had built faith between worlds.